Greetings from the lovely Destiny Islands. We are back with another bonus episode, chumps.
PJ, could you get... I need some suntan lotion on my lower back.
I believe it is too late. That whole
Fuck.
thing is just gonna pop right off like Mr. Krabs' exoskeleton.
I am redder than a nocturne right now.
Oh, good joke. Kingdom Hearts. We're Kingdom Hearts fans.
Kingdom Hearts. That's right.
Well, we're still doing our bonus episodes because we are still on vacation. We are having a lovely time, but
It's so great.
don't let our whimsy distract you. We are actually very much actively working
We're hard
on
at
season
work.
2.
Yeah. We're recording in the seaside shack.
Yeah. Xehanort's old house. Can you believe?
Yeah. Oh, it's creepy.
One of my favorite pieces of lore is that's Xehanort's house.
Still smells old in
A little
here.
bit. Yeah. Oh, that's where that guy died. That's where we died. Right here. It's right here. It's where it's where we died. That's so
Our
funny.
death spot.
I gotta say, it is very much on brand that I would end up raising my dead best friend's bastard grandson.
Yeah, that seems like a PJ thing to happen.
Yeah, like, how the fuck did I end up with this old shit?
Yeah.
And then, of course, anybody that I would raise would turn out to be a warlord. So,
Yeah.
what were we talking about? Oh, right.
We have an archive episode. Yeah.
Yep, another one from PJ's days in the past life. This one is with Seth Kearsley, the animator who did the infamous, at this point, pilot for the would-be Kingdom Hearts cartoon that never came to pass.
And of course, we've never seen it and don't have copies of it.
Right.
Because that'd be wrong.
Right. Fun thing about this interview, I was the first person to interview him, and I spent forever getting hold of him, setting it up, interviewing him, whatever. As I was editing it, someone scooped me and did another interview with him and posted it before I got to post mine.
Oh my god.
I know.
They outpaced you.
I don't remember who it was. It might have been a good interview, but I'm going to pretend that it was bad. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
I really don't remember who it was. It was probably fun.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I remember it really pissed me off at the time.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Because, this was kind of an urban legend for a really long time, and then suddenly it was true.
Yeah.
Anyway, here it is. Seth is a lot of fun. I remember having fun with this one. Again, this one's older, so I sound prepubescent. Have fun.
Classic vintage Peach.
Hold that thought. This is editing PJ. I wanted to interject really quickly and explain a couple of things. So, one, because I'm editing right now, I didn't get out all my fancy stuff, so that's why the mic difference is startling. This interview is from a while ago, so the audio quality is not as good as, the pristine content that Pat and I put out. But also, the original interview was pretty long, so I decided that I would edit it down and focus on the parts where Seth talks about the Kingdom Hearts pilot. So we've cut about half an hour of it. The original is still over on Cage Insider, so if you want to listen to the full thing, I think it's only right that you go and you give them views. So yeah, that's there. I also wanted to shout out Seth. He recently launched a new comic called Never Wonderland. The first issue just came out. He's working on the second one now. You can get it at his website, dojoproductionsinc.com, if you're interested in following his work. He also has a Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, under his name, Seth Kearsley. Big shout out to him. Thank you again after all these years for talking to me way back when. And it's interesting to see how much things have changed now that the pilot's actually out. Yep. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hey everybody, this is PJ, and I have a very special guest with me here today. We are doing one of our first ever off-the-cuff, #off-the-chain interviews. Our special guest directed the Adam Sandler animated feature 8 Crazy Nights, and some more of his animation credits include Dilbert, Phineas and Ferb, Looney Tunes Show, Family Guy, The Simpsons. He storyboarded my favorite episode of Bob's Burgers, Art Crawl, and more recently he's worked on Secret Life of Pets and Sing, just to name a few. And in the early 2000s, he worked with Disney to direct a pilot for a potential Kingdom Hearts animated series. So everyone, please welcome Seth Kearsley. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I was expecting like an applause, but there's only 2 of us and our producer friend Rob, but here I'll
We can add it in post.
Didn't have the applause ready, I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Where's your soundboard, Rob?
So yeah, Eight Crazy Nights was an amazing experience, and all the time working with Sandler was amazing. And because I kind of like each step was a kind of a big step career wise. Like I thought that I was going to be doing like a live action thing next, and I started like only taking meetings for live action projects. But like I'd never directed live action, but I was still on the like. What? I just get someone to hire me, and then I just do the job and not get fired. That's how it works.
I think that is how it works a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get anyone to. Actually, there were a couple of projects that they were like, we're going to go with this script. Do you want to do it? And I was like, no, I don't really like the script. And those were horrible, horrible movies that did nothing for the careers of the guys who directed them.
Oh, good call.
And so Kingdom Hearts was actually the next thing after all of that. I was looking for... I really wanted to do like an American anime kind of a thing. I wanted to like not have it be like a film directed by committee, which, Eight Crazy Nights wasn't. As long as Sandler and his guys were happy, then I kind of got to do whatever I wanted. It was like a little bit of a dream scenario. But I was looking to do something that was more like what, Miyazaki might do or something like that. And so Kingdom Hearts seemed like the perfect thing because, I love Goofy. And I loved anime, and I was doing nothing but playing video games anyway after Eight Crazy Nights. So I put, Grand Theft Auto 3 to the side, get those motorcycle challenges finished another time, and
right.
And then I played Kingdom Hearts, and then the script was just it's not like it was bad. It didn't read like a episode of Kingdom Hearts. Cowboy Bebop was just starting to be played on Cartoon Network at like 2 a.m. I was still up because I had no kids and no job. So I was kind of thinking that like Kingdom Hearts, like it should kind of be like Sora and Donald and Goofy are like in this ship. Like out in the galaxies, whatever, and it's kind of like as the Heartless go to each planet, they would be alerted somehow, and then they would go to that planet to find the key on that planet. So that's what we did.
Well, here's something that I actually was wanting to ask about when you came on board, because, like you said, they had already had it. They'd already had a plan, they'd already had a script, and you took a look at it, and you said, no thanks. I was actually wondering how much was done before you showed up. Like, how much had they worked on before you scrapped it?
It was just the script.
Ah, okay. Well, then I think it's good that it didn't get too far before you were like,
Well, I almost lost the job by going, I didn't know it, but it was the guy who was running Disney at the time, like, that was his concept, and he pitched the concept to the writer so that the writer would write that concept, and like that's where he wanted to go with the show. And I was just like, you've got most of the worlds that you go to, you've already had animated series that take place in those worlds. So the only way to make this feel like its own show is to like really have the main characters be Sora and Kairi and Riku. So I think that they even had Aladdin as in the script. So I was fired. And then we're almost fired. And then I got on the phone with him and I was like, no disrespect. It's just, I played the game like from beginning to end. There's something really cool about this game. And the script doesn't do any service to it. And I just feel like if you've got something that's really cool and a lot of people really like it, like, why would you change it?
I think that what a lot of people who are listening to this don't realize about Disney Animation at the time, too, was that they were kind of going through a situation where the tween market had kind of emerged, and they hadn't had a huge box office hit in the theaters since Move On in '98. And so they were trying to get their footing, and they were trying to appeal to that like young adult demographic while still making it like, oh, it's not cool to like Disney classics anymore.
Yeah.
The nostalgia factor hadn't really kicked in for millennials yet.
Here's your Kingdom Hearts Insider scoop. I was also having meetings at Disney Feature when Eight Crazy Nights came out for the whole like feature animation landscape. It's like I popped on the radar from out of nowhere. And so I was having meetings at all of the different studios and, would have like an hour-long sit-down chit-chat with Jeffrey Katzenberg. So, I had quite a few meetings at Disney Feature Animation. I really wanted to take Kingdom Hearts there. And I was like, this would make such an amazing feature. You've got to do this. Lilo and Stitch was right around that time. Right. And so, like, I don't know if you remember the trailers for Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, absolutely.
Stitch is in all of the different movies. And so I was like, it's perfect. They're already kind of like tipping the hat to that there's sort of like this Disney universe. And yeah, I was trying to get features involved also.
And I think it's also, it was before you kind of had the mainstream market appeal of like a multi-franchise connected universe. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe hadn't happened, the DC Cinematic Universe, like they weren't concepts that people really had their head around yet.
If you heard that there was a Marvel movie, you're like, oh, is it going to be direct-to-video? Because like all of the Marvel movies sucked. It was like DC was making stuff and Marvel, DC was making Batman.
Look at them now.
There's new Star Wars in theaters, and they're planning the Marvel universe from now until the end of time.
I think that's the name of the last movie, is Until the
End of Time. Yeah, it's a Thor movie, and the movie itself triggers Ragnarok.
The actual Ragnarok, not in the movie. In the real, I get it.
In the movie, he says the words that then triggers actual Ragnarok.
And people are like, I get the title now. I get it. He said the thing.
Amazing. That's it burning.
You talked to him, and you got the new concept for the series kind of approved, and you started doing storyboards and animatics and everything. During that first attempt, how much freedom did you have after that initial conversation?
They had a lot of input on the script. We recorded the scripts. A lot of times they don't record until after the board. I like to record the scripts because then I like to let the voice actors play a little bit sometimes in the booth, and then the way they say their lines helps inform me on how I'm going to draw it. So we recorded first. We had to cast and record, but casting was. It's like, well, this character's in it, and this character's in it, and this character's in it.
Right, so for classic Disney characters, you would have, like, Bill Farmer as Goofy, and Tony Anselmo as Donald, and Susan Blakesley as Maleficent.
Yeah.
But what people are really wanting to know, and I know that you've talked about this a few times, but we had a little bit of a talk about it before, about the original characters. What happened with them?
So it was Haley Joel Osment was in the game, and he wasn't available, or I forget exactly why we weren't just going out to him. I think that he was still, like, at the time was maybe too big for just a little pilot animatic thing. So there was an actor that had done some stand-in sound-alike stuff for him on, like, Jungle Book 2 or something like that. And so it was kind of like, okay, that's our guy for the Haley Joel Osment character. And then with Riku and Kairi, I don't think that they're the ones from the game, but it was the same sort of thing. Like, it's a little bit of like the Disney machine that happens where, like, their casting director is like, well, these are the people that we should go to, and what do you think? And you're like,
we've got sound-alikes on deck.
Yeah. So it's not like I had any say on who did voices. And I'll just tell you that, if anything were to happen, it would probably go down pretty much the same way. There is a machine part of it that they do things a certain way, and that's how they do it, and you're not going to change that. But in the booth, I was letting them play a little bit more than they otherwise might get to. And so, like, the actress who does Maleficent, she said one of her lines, and it was, like, the most evil line in the whole thing. And then she had this huge evil laugh that she did at the end, and I was like, what was that? And I'm like, come on, you can be more evil than that. And she's like, oh, I can definitely be more evil. And I was like, I would like to see evil dripping off of that mic when you're done. Go there. And so she did, and it was like, like, amazing stuff. And she had so much fun because she's like, I never get to be evil. I'm like, what do you mean you never get to be evil? You're Maleficent. And they're like, yeah, but they always pull me back. I'm like, no, be evil. We need evil. And then I remember, like, the kid who played Sora. Like, I showed up to the recording studio. I'm like, I don't like a big fuss to be made. It's not like I was having people fetch me things or anything like that. Like, I was waiting for us to go into the booth just like everyone else was. And I remember the kid that played Sora was like, I'm playing Sora. And like, I know, because like I cast him, but or I didn't cast him. I was in the room when he was cast. We'll say it that way. And he's like, "What part are you playing?" And I was like, "Today I'll be playing the part of the director." And then they're like, "Oh, you're the director." So maybe that's the theme for me. I like to surprise.
Yeah, is that just your life? Like, surprise, I'm the director.
Yep, it's just me. So after that, like, you need to get your radio play approved. So one of the things that was different about the Kingdom Hearts pilot was that I was doing it all outside of the studio. So it was kind of like the first theme for my little studio. So, I was doing it all on my own. Like, I had the budget and then just sort of ran with it.
So you did everything 100% by yourself?
Not 100% by myself. I had help with some editorial, and I had help with scanning, and I had help with color. So, like, I didn't scan every drawing and color every drawing. I had help with compositing. I did all the drawing, and I did all of the editing. So, yeah. Something
interesting that happened, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, was that Kevin Monroe, who has worked on Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie back in 2007, said that he wrote an episode of a Kingdom Hearts animated series for Disney that was based on the Jungle Book. And I didn't know if that was for you or if that was for something else that they had attempted.
No, I actually, I was just talking to Henry Gilroy, who he's the guy that he's the executive producer on Star Wars Rebels, and he was also on the Clone Wars, and he did a bunch of Marvel stuff.
And wrote for House of Mouse, everybody.
And wrote for House of Mouse, yeah. And he also did a script. So I think that they had a bunch of people, taking cracks at doing scripts for Kingdom Hearts. I don't think any of the other ones got any further than a script.
Interesting. So it seems like they were trying for a long time to try to figure out what to do with that property.
Yeah. I mean, I was told that, at the time, I don't, the game had only just come out. I guess it was a big enough success soon enough that they decided to go do a second one. And so that's what I was told is why they didn't move forward with it, because they didn't want to piss off the director of the games, and they wanted to keep the games going. And even then, games make more money than, animated TV series. Cruel fact of life.
Well, it's really interesting too, because when Kingdom Hearts came out, like you said, it was a success. The branding was everywhere. You couldn't turn on television without seeing the commercial for it. There were posters everywhere. A lot of millennials got their start with their first PS2 game being Kingdom Hearts. Uh-huh. And so it really resonates anyway, because we're kind of in that age of nostalgia right now. And I think that might have been partially, I don't think responsible, but it was definitely something. It came out right after 9/11. And it was kind of the uptick of everybody who experienced that kind of wanting to go back to the 90s. So I understand that it was a huge success. Disney did a lot on their own with it. For a very short amount of time after it came out, they had mascot characters at Disney World, and they were promoting it a little at the parks, and they did mobile games by themselves. But around 2003, 2004, they were basically like, we trust Square Enix, so we're not going to be doing Kingdom Hearts stuff by ourselves.
That might still be the case,
But I also have hope that they would be into doing something, because Square has also worked with them on like doing a Japanese manga series, and they work together a lot more now. I'm kind of hoping that won't be the final nail in the coffin for a Kingdom Hearts animated series.
Well, also, Disney is different now than they were then, and with all the franchises, it seems like they're like the studio of franchises now. So Kingdom Hearts would definitely be another franchise. Kingdom Hearts is, even at the time when I was doing the pilot, I was like, we could have such high production value on this show just for the fact that these stories take place in worlds that we've done a feature and an animated series. So, like, there's a ton of design that's already done for these worlds.
That's already done. What would be interesting would be getting that from a different perspective, which is what it sounds like you were trying to do with the original pilot, of having Sora and Riku kind of come together and have Agrabah kind of be like the battleground between them.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to hold true to the game, but not just do a straight retelling of the game, because, it just seems like it would be boring. Like, if you just did a straight, one-to-one retelling of the game in a series, that maybe the people who didn't know the game and were just discovering it in the series would like that, but I think that the hardcore fans wouldn't like that because... And, I was, like I said, I was playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto. I love the idea that, the story was different no matter who was playing, and so I was kind of trying to bring that into Kingdom Hearts, that, like, main story points that are in the game are also in the show, but maybe they happen in a different way or at a different time.
Well, I think the audiences would definitely be more open to that now because they understand continuity changes between adaptations. Yeah. Having grown up with like the Harry Potter movies, different from the books, comic books are different. You're like, oh, they're totally doing this comic arc during this comic book movie. Right. I think people are understanding that now, and I think that people are happy about that. They're accepting of it. We had a lot of questions about how you would handle all of the lore and the storytelling about all of the games in a condensed series.
Well, I would have to ingest all of it.
I got you. I will help you.
Okay. And, like, I get that sometimes things go, like, that's a bizarre side trip that, like, no one even really knows what was going on with that one. Speaking in generalities, because I don't know any of it. I'd want to know how the universe has expanded since 14 years ago. And to then, do the same thing that I was planning on doing then, which is to, hold true to the game, but not just do a straight retelling.
I think a lot of people are really... They're kind of nervous about the prospect, not just with you, but people have been talking for years about what an anime or a limited run series or a movie would look like. And just over the past, 14, 15 years, the series has grown so much and it can get really convoluted at times. Mm-hmm. And people kind of want to maintain the bigger aspects of the story, but keep that, like, intimate feeling of what's happening between the characters and their friendships be the forefront of what's going on.
You definitely need that. Like, if people aren't sucked into the characters, then, they're not going to watch just because it looks pretty.
You can't let the Disney worlds carry it either, because then it's just like, we've seen this. So I totally think you were right in changing the pilot.
I mean, it was kind of like, I felt like in the pilot that I actually wanted to have, in the background of one scene, I wanted to have Aladdin go running through... way off in the distance, like maybe you wouldn't even catch what was going on, but that the One Step in Front of the Bad Guys song, that would be happening like over there. So it was like there would almost be some continuity, but this is a whole other story that's taking place in Agrabah, and I think it would be the same in kind of any world that they'd go into. That I've read some of the stuff, like people freaked out that I mentioned like Star Wars and Marvel Universe. But just like in the game and in the show, them, like, you don't have like Sora suddenly strapping on an Iron Man suit and flying around with Iron Man, because then it becomes like the Sora episode of Iron Man. But I think that you could kind of peripherally have characters that, kind of like they did with Deadpool, where, it's not like the main guys that, like, everyone knows. Like, if you're a comic book fan, you know who those characters are, but they're sort of, like, on the fringe of that universe.
Right. So. They're guests here. You're having them over for tea.
It'd be cool to see them, like, in a location that is familiar from, Star Wars or something like that. But, like, you don't want to have them, like, Sora's busting out a lightsaber and taking on Darth Vader or anything like that.
Well, not yet.
Right.
It could happen in the game still.
A lightsaber keyblade.
I feel like that could happen. I feel like people have been expecting that to happen ever since they bought Lucasfilm. Another thing that I kind of want to recap everybody on is that since the storyboards have gotten so much traction, Seth is kind of optimistic about doing like a do-over, a second pitch, another attempt at trying to get a Kingdom Hearts project off the ground at Disney. That doesn't mean that it's happening. It doesn't mean that anything's confirmed. It doesn't mean that they're considering it. It doesn't mean that anything's been set in stone or even talked about. It just means that it's something that he is serious about having happen someday and hopes to happen. Can you give us any update about where you are with that?
I would like to do it, but, I've had a couple of email back and forths, and then I had lunch with the guy who was running Disney when we did the pilot, to kind of enlist him into the thing, and he knows different people at the different networks. And the person that I was emailing with, from what I understand, because I just got his email from this guy, is that he's the head of like all three networks. Good ear to bend.
And that's another thing too. Like, you don't know what's happening. Like, nobody knows. They could have tried doing Kingdom Hearts as a series 1,000 times between when you did it and now.
They could already be, knee deep in production on something, and who knows? And they wouldn't let on. And also, more likely, they have no plans. And the fact that they have no plans, it's not like they can just go like, hey, you know what? I got this email from this guy that worked here for, well, actually, he didn't work here. He did this pilot on his own. But, he said this Kingdom Hearts thing, we should do something with that, right? Yeah, we should do something with that. Here's a bunch of money. Just give him bucket loads of money and let him go do the thing. Like, more likely, they've already plotted out, like, the next 15 years of production, if Kingdom Hearts isn't on the slate, to get it on the slate means that someone else's pet project needs to come off the slate. So who knows? It could also be that they're like, sitting around a boardroom table going, I don't know, do you got any ideas? What about you? Anything? No. Oh wait, I got this thing on my phone. Hey, this guy did this Kingdom. Let's do Kingdom Hearts. Something in the works. It's already in the works, or it's not going to be in the works. The hard part is that with the Marvel universe and the Star Wars universe, like, they've got their giant franchises,
right?
So it's not like they're hurting for a franchise. So maybe they'll revisit Kingdom Hearts when 5 years after Kingdom Hearts 5 has come out.
So the bulk of the questions from the forum users are also in this next segment, which I think it's going to be our last. So let's just put all of that aside, all of the conditionary nonsense about, well, this could be happening. Let's just imagine for 15 minutes that you are getting to work on the Kingdom Hearts animated series. Like, it's been greenlit, we're good to go, it's happening. We have a bunch of questions about what you would do in a perfect scenario where you were calling the shots and the series was happening and you got to do things your way.
Okay.
Talking about the hypothetical series and what you would want, who would be on your dream team as far as people who are working with you goes?
I would love to have a guy like Steve Ahn, who he's directing Voltron, or like LaShawn Thomas, who was on Boondocks, and then was on Black Dynamite, and he just had a Kickstarter for his own anime series called Cannon Busters Go. Like, those are two directors that I'd love to bring into it, just because I feel like that they do anime way better than I do anime, because I don't really. As far as like studios to do it, definitely like Mir is pretty awesome. So I'd want to get a place like that, and
I think people were asking about that specifically.
Yeah, the Avatar, and Legend of Korra. Like, I think that the Kingdom Hearts series would definitely be in the vein of that. I would love to keep it, like a 2D anime thing. Maybe have a lot of CG elements, but keep the heart of it 2D.
Kind of like the Disney Renaissance movies when, like, Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast had some CGI, like, in the background, but it was still hand-drawn.
Yeah. I think that it's so... It's so much easier now to integrate. You could have more like CG backgrounds, and it just doesn't draw attention to itself because we're so used to seeing it now. So, I'd want to keep the stories, kind of with heart and spirit and darkness and all of that. I think is what anime is good at. Like philosophical and spiritual and all of that, which that might be the hardest part of all, to be able to hold on to that essence of anime. I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, it totally does. And going off of that, stylistically, one of our users, I think it was Launchpad, talked about possibly having a revolving art style so that every time Sora and the gang went to a different world, the style would kind of adapt to the source material. So if it was Beauty and the Beast, the lines would be, sharp and small and hand painted. But if it were something like Winnie the Pooh or Jungle Book, it would be more sketchy. If it were Lilo and Stitch, it'd be watercolor.
I think that the world would be that way.
Right.
I think that the characters, have to look the same, no matter what world they're in. I think that Pooh's world and all of the different worlds, they definitely need to feel like the world that they are. So the look would be like the look of Winnie the Pooh. But then I think it needs to be treated a little bit so that it feels like, it's Kingdom Hearts, what Pooh's world looks like through the Kingdom Hearts lens. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So stylistically, even though the world would be different, you would still want character representation to be closer to what's going on with the main trio.
Yeah. And the mood of the scene and, all of that.
At this point, now the Kingdom Hearts series, aside from just 2D animation, they've also integrated properties that have been live action and 3D animated. Mm-hmm. So how would you tackle? Would you keep that 2D, or would you try to do something special for those episodes if that were to ever happen?
It's all of the ifs. I think perfect world scenario, except for the live action part, that might be a little tricky to have the live action animation mix. That it would be the same as going into the worlds of the other characters. Like if it's a CG character, it should be a CG character, and it's just that's what people from that world look like. I'd rather see a mix. I'd love to see. A 2D character interacting with a CG character.
It gets a little jarring. There are some cases where it works really well in the Kingdom Hearts series. Like, there's some cases where people are kind of like, why did they do this?
Like what?
Well, for example, something that they did really well, they included Tron in Kingdom Hearts 2, and that world is loved. Because it's also a mix of animation and live action. But Sora, Donald, and Goofy adapted to look like that world anyway. They didn't keep it exactly like the movie. They had everything kind of a little anime looking, but a little CGI and a little this and a little that, and it went great. Yeah. But a not so great example, they did Pirates of the Caribbean, and it was beautiful. But Sora, Donald, and Goofy looked cartoony. They didn't change their models at all, and not only did that part clash, but the story did not differentiate enough to where it felt new and exciting. It just felt like a bunch of people doing imitations of those characters and watching it like a local theater production of it. But also Kingdom Hearts 2 has that pacing problem where a lot of the worlds take more from the movie's story than create their own.
I think that anime sometimes in general has pacing problems, or we see it as pacing problems.
That's true.
In Japan, the directors have more say than they do here. Mm-hmm. So, you can have a quirky way of telling a story that people are like, oh, I love when they just have those long scenes where nothing happens. And, here you've got to get executives on board with that also. You're not going to have that kind of creative freedom. Maybe I'm, doing the grass is greener on the other side kind of a thing. And maybe he still has to deal with those kinds of notes and things like that. But I've done some work for Asian markets, and I'll tell you that the way notes are given in Asia are not at all like the way notes are given here. When a client in Asia gives you a note, it's done very respectfully, and it's almost like they're apologizing for giving the note, and then they'll say, and don't take the note as this is hard and fast, this is what you must do, but consider the notes kind of an ongoing conversation as we work towards, completion of this project.
Right, and Disney is not like that with their franchise.
No, not only Disney, but no producers.
Well, yeah, Hollywood in general.
Yeah. So, yeah, my wife is texting me. Right.
Why are you still talking to them?
Yeah.
We're almost done, I promise. So, a couple days ago, the Kingdom Hearts series, they launched a world tour, and they're going to cities all over the world playing orchestrated versions of the songs from the games. The score is usually pretty universally acknowledged and well loved as far as video game music goes. And so a lot of people are asking if you were to do an animated series, if the music would carry over, if you would have a completely new score, if it was some sort of hybrid.
Just like the rest of the game, anything that is really awesome, it definitely needs to also be a part of the next version of the thing. So, with the pilot, I used a lot of music from the game and other music that sort of, fit that same feel. I love the music in the game. Would definitely be keeping that.
A lot of people were asking about channels and about lengths of episodes and whatever, but I feel like even though we're talking about what you would ideally do, that's kind of up to Disney.
Yeah. Every channel has their own formats that you have to follow and links, and I mean, most likely it would be 22-minute episodes and 3-act story structure, and I think now you could get a season arc where you definitely couldn't get a season arc when I was doing the pilot.
Right.
Now, because of Netflix and people binge viewing, it seems like they get that people want a longer story.
Yeah, it's the culture. I mean, in animation, it was harder because all the cartoons that we grew up with, you would have an episode where the characters went through a situation, and that would be the end of the episode, and a totally new thing would happen next. But now we're seeing in animation that there are character arcs, there are story arcs, there are timelines, there are things that are happening that people really appreciate. And I'm not saying that that makes it a better cartoon, but I feel like for something like Kingdom Hearts that has that overarching thing where all of the games are connected and everything is happening, an animated series would probably have to follow suit.
Yeah.
So would you prefer it to be like a streaming situation where you would have the whole season bingeable, or would you rather have the cranking like an episode per week situation?
I mean, personally, I love that, when Netflix drops a series, that the whole thing is there, and I can, gobble it up in a weekend if I want, or I can sort of pace myself and watch one each night. But, I think that if it's going to be on a network, that they're definitely going to, release it each week or every other week or something like on a regular schedule, because it's programming for the network. And then, ultimately it'll end up on, Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like all the Disney stuff goes to Netflix. And
yeah, they're working a lot closer.
Yeah, well, I heard that they were looking at buying Netflix at one point. I would not be a fan of that because Netflix is it's like an oasis in the desert for creatives.
Absolutely. It's super innovative to be bought by a corporate entity that only knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, yeah.
It's going to be more of the same. I have a thing that I've been talking to Netflix about, and just in the meetings that we have, it's so different. And that they're so much more interested in the creative and the creators, and they really want to say yes. And so they talk about, the pathway to yes.
They're definitely dream-like makers, because how many franchises or canceled TV shows or abandoned series have you heard of that have gotten a second life because of the demanding public and Netflix? I mean, I love them for that. Maybe they should help do Kingdom Hearts. If you're listening, Netflix, you guys already have an in at Disney.
Yeah.
So I know that you want to expand your animation department. Think about it. People were asking about the Square Enix side of things. So all the Final Fantasy characters that have been cameos and had some important parts in the story, I imagine that they weren't at all involved with the first pass and the pilot presentation.
They weren't in the pilot. I don't remember if it was a specific thing where they said don't use these characters because they belong to them. It would be cool to have them in the series. And I didn't really know Final Fantasy. I was aware of it because it's a thing.
Right.
But I never played the games or anything like that. Or maybe I played one of the games for like the blink of an eye. But I remember when I saw them in the game, I was like, oh, that's so cool that like it went through that. And like not even knowing of Final Fantasy, the fact that like these were some characters who survived the Heartless, that's so cool. So it would be cool to have them. But that's probably going to be a big legal thing.
Maybe. But, I feel like probably the biggest hurdle would be going through them anyway. So if they were to be hands-on, they might as well go all the way.
Right, yeah.
So just closing out, what are some things that you would like to tell people who are creative or who want to break into not even just animation, but anything that's super creative and they feel like they might not be best prepared for it?
I think that if it's what you want to do, then you should stop putting excuses between you and doing it and just start doing it and keep adding to the amount of time that you spend each day doing that thing. Like there's a bunch of different things that come with being a professional artist, but one of the The big things that people don't think about is that's 8 hours a day of drawing. That's 40 hours a week of drawing. Get yourself to there where you actually have the stamina to do 40 hours of drawing in a week. And really it's not 40 hours of drawing, because if you're breaking in, it's like 60 hours of drawing. And when you're in crunch time, it might be 90 hours. Start drawing. Don't try to make it perfect. Just try to get it finished. Kind of with anything, like you take your hobby and you increase the amount of hours you spend on your hobby until it becomes your day job.
Something that I really want to thank you for, that I've just noticed, is that people have already been sending you stuff through Twitter saying, well, this is my art, and this is what I feel like this should look like, and this is how I've been drawing this. And you've always, from what I've been able to see, you've been giving great constructive criticism and been complimentary. And I feel like not a lot of people would do that if they had a bunch of people clamoring for their attention.
Well, I don't have a bunch of people clamoring for my attention. I think it's the Twitter followers is at 740, and probably 700 of those are Kingdom Hearts fans, and the other 40 are Facebook friends. Yeah, I was actually thinking about opening it up to people to send me stuff, and through Twitter, and I can give you a 140 character response on your thing. If you want to animate and get some feedback on your animation, or you want to draw and get some feedback on your drawings, but yeah, I have a spec script here from Henry for one of his projects, and it doesn't have a page count. But I don't know, it's probably 20 pages, and it sits here because I've got a crazy amount of work I got to do, and I've got twin girls who gobble up all my free time. So if I can look at something, it's the same thing as the guy who looked at my portfolio way back when. To look at something and give someone some advice, first of all, I don't think people actually want advice. I think that they want you to be like, "That's awesome, keep going," and so that's what I say, "That's awesome, keep going," because what you really need is encouragement. It's a long road to take. If you want to be a professional artist, and there are times when I wish that I didn't come down this road because it's so hard. What if I just stayed doing construction, and then I had I go to martial arts tournaments every weekend, and that's my hobby. Build houses 9 to 5, and then, play video games from 6 to midnight. If I had taken another path where you just have a regular day job that you go to, and you're not constantly torturing yourself with looking at work that other people do, where you're like, they're awesome, I suck, why am I doing this, I should give up, it's never gonna happen. I still have all of the same feelings that people have when they're doing a drawing and they're putting it out there, and people are like, that sucks, you should quit. They say the same thing to me. And I say the same thing to myself. It's a brutal business to be in. The thing that I get all the time from people is oh, I wish I were creative. I wish I drew. I wish I was an artist. And I'm just so how about just say that you're an artist and just create, because the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Right. And that's the hardest thing, is just to do it.
I mean, I will draw for 40 hours every week for other people, and it is still hard for me to grab my sketchbook and draw something for myself. It doesn't get easier. I do Inktober every year just to force myself to do a drawing a day for myself, and it's just 1 month, and it's so hard, and I fall behind, and there's other professional artists that try to do it, and you fall behind, and then you're okay, well, I'm going to do 3 tonight and I'll catch up. And then you do 3 drawings, you're these suck. And then you see what other people are doing, you're they're so much better. And then you,
Scotty Young, stop posting so many great.
Exactly, yeah. Jake Parker, you bastard, why did you create this thing?
Well, Seth, it was so nice to finally actually get to talk to you. I'm sorry that we went a little long.
Good luck editing.
Oh, I will have all kinds of fun, don't worry about it.
This is going to be a 9-part interview.
Well, was I supposed to be recording, PJ?
Start over.
No, it came out. It came out wonderfully.
Thank you so much. I had a great time. I hope that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, we're back. Hello.
We're back. Oh my god, that was great.
Seth is a lot of fun. He directed 8 Crazy Nights by Adam Sandler, which
yeah.
we know because we just listened to this.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. okay, so we're gonna tell it like it is. We have seen the pilot animatic for the Kingdom Hearts cartoon legally because we are not the ones who distributed it. It was put up publicly on YouTube. And there may or may not have been a meme that was edited with an old Among Us game that we had all played, wherein I was Maleficent and Keynote was Jafar and you were Riku, and I defenestrated Keynote out the window as Maleficent.
Yeah, it's on my second channel. I believe I want to say it's called, it could be pj.mp4. I could be wrong.
I think it is.
It's something like that.
And it's very funny and it's great. But you know what I realized? Like, I'm settling into my apartment and we're hanging up art. And I was hanging up a piece and I realized that the frame where Maleficent says "be gone" and yeets Jafar, I have the original storyboard for that.
What?
And it's that exact moment where I vote Keynote off of the island.
Yeah,
I have that. I had it when we did that.
That's
and I
crazy.
didn't even, it was like a predestined thing.
It was meant to be, because I'm first hearing of this right now. So
I had forgotten.
I edited it with that knowledge.
I'd had it in storage for so long, and then I finally got to a place where I could hang it. And I just, it was like it was destined. It was so crazy.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, oh my God. Yeah.
You were always meant to vote Keynote out after you forgot to unmute
I
his
sure
mic.
was. Thanks, Seth, for sending that to me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, maybe someday there'll be a Kingdom Hearts cartoon. Maybe there were other attempts. Maybe we'll talk about it in the future.
Ooh. A little tease for the road.
Yeah, a little tease. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck off.
See ya, fuckers.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Da-da.